Here's how you install the Cartrimhome heated steering wheel for the 3rd gen Tacoma. First step, disconnect your battery. Hot side first. I already had it unscrewed, but just disconnect it. Put it to the side. I like to put the rubber grommet back over, just so it doesn't accidentally like retouch the post or anything and activate. Next, take off your ground, just in case, and head inside of your truck. Next, you're going to remove this little cover and this little cover with a flathead screwdriver. So just take a flathead screwdriver, small one, pop it out, and then take the same thing. Takes a little bit of effort. Pop it out, and then remove the little Torx bit on both sides with a T30. Once you have those removed, they don't fully come out, but once you have those removed, take your airbag out, and you're going to have these two little clips here. These are your hot and ground for your airbag. Just undo these two little clips, pop them out, and then you have the ground or some kind of wiring for the airbag itself. I marked it with a Sharpie just so you can tell where the ground goes back, because since it's polarized, pull it off, set your airbag aside. Next, you're going to take a 19mm socket or your tire iron with a 19mm. Crack this bolt. Be careful, do not let your steering wheel lock. The Tacomas have a locking steering wheel to be able to get in and out of your vehicle. Just make sure you hold it tight with your knees or something and crack the bolt. Do not fully unscrew it. Just leave a few threads so then you can remove the steering wheel. So you're going to take the steering wheel, you're going to pull it out, and now you can remove your nut. Be careful. Don't pull the steering wheel fully off just yet, because you have two little clips undo. You have this wiring harness, and this one takes like a little flathead because my fingers aren't too big, or are too big. Pull those out. Now you can remove your steering wheel. Next, it's time to transfer all your hardware over to your new steering wheel. First, you have to remove all 8 Phillips head screws. Do not use a drill. You can strip them out quite easily because they are torqued down. I like to use a little magnet. Remove the screws. Fingers are a bit fat, so now take out your cruise control switch. Be very careful, you don't want to break it. Set it aside. Now take out your balancer, set that aside. Now you have this back black plastic piece. You just pop that off. Your torque spits might come out. Just pop them back in through these little holes. This is what you removed your steering wheel from, or your airbag from. They popped out again. They're a little finicky to pop in, but you have like this little slot here. So just make sure it lines up with that slot, and then they'll hold in there pretty well. Set that aside. Now take your main hardware. Be careful not to pull your wiring too much. Pop that side off. Pop that side off. Transfer it over. Pop it right back in so you don't mess any wiring up. Alright. Now take your black piece. Be careful with your new heated steering wheel wire, like I'm not being. Make sure it's like tucked inside or something so you can't damage it. And pop it back in. Might be an awkward fit, but once it's all tightened down and you're driving, you won't ever notice. So it doesn't snap in, it just kind of squeezes on. And there you go. Now take your screws and start putting them back in. You can grab these two top screws first. I like to do this so then I don't lose my buttons. Remember, don't over tighten and don't tighten fully until the very end. Just get them slightly snug, just so you can make small adjustments to your buttons as you're going. Now take your balancer, place it like this. The hooks will be downward. Put your wiring under the hooks like this. And then put in your two screws. Like I said before, I have pretty fat fingers, so kind of struggle a little bit with putting in screws sometimes. This you can tighten all the way right away because there's no adjustments need to be made. Now take cruise control, slip that through the back hole like that. Make sure that this little pin goes in. Now take your cruise control bolts, or screws I guess. Start the thread. Don't thread it all the way because you need to be able to play to line up this hole here. Now you can fully tighten that. You take your last button bolt, put that in. Put that in. And tighten down all your bolts, all your screws. And now you're set to go back to your car. Now that you're back in your vehicle, now it's time to remove these two black plastic caps. It's a Phillips head screwdriver. Make sure you do it by hand. Do not use a drill. It's plastic, so it's easier to strip out the threads of the plastic side. 1 and 2. Set those screws aside. Now the black plastic pops off by going down, pulls out, and then going up. Set those aside. Now it's time to remove the clock spring. There are going to be a couple little pieces that you want to remove first. You want to do this. You want to undo this. And you want to undo that. Those 3 wires. Okay? Next, to remove the clock spring, there is a clip on top. There's 2 clips on the side. These 2 little pieces here. You might want to take a flathead, pop that first clip down, give it a little pull, pop the other clip on the bottom. You can use your finger for that. Now the top clip comes right out. These are the 3 clips I'm talking about. This one, and this one. Now your clock spring's removed. Now, normally you would have to be careful with your clock spring, but with the Tacomas, they have a lock built into it. The steering wheel actually pushes in right here to release it. So when you push in this, now your clock spring can move. But you're safe to go. Just don't play with it, because if you damage your OEM, then now if you ever go back to stock, you can't. Next, take your new clock spring, has your wiring built into it, and place it back in place. Super easy. Now put all your wiring harnesses back in. And you're good to go with that. Now I did run the wiring already for your switch. It's back here. So this will plug in to this over here. It's a hard plug. Push it really hard. Make sure it clips so then it doesn't come out. And now your wiring for your switch, just route it back behind the steering wheel somehow, and it'll be like this. And now it's time to reinstall your steering wheel. So just like you did, undo what you did before. You can put the bottom on first, it doesn't really matter. It's easier to put the top on first. Clips in. These clip in together. Make sure all your clips all the way around latch into each other. Have a bent one here. But as you can see, all the plastic clips in. Now take your screws that you just took out, place those back in. There's one. There is 2. You can go ahead and tighten those down right away. Remember, don't play with your clock spring. If you keep rotating it and messing with it, if it comes out of place, these little bands inside will become damaged and you will no longer be able to use your buttons on your steering wheel or your cruise control. But now that your plastic's all clipped back in, I have to do a little adjustment on mine real quick. All right, once that's back in, now you can install your steering wheel again. Take your steering wheel, remember, don't play with nothing. Feed your wiring through the front, and now feed the wiring through this spot. And make sure you line your steering wheel up the exact way that it was to begin with. It's easier if you start with your steering wheel straight when you begin, so then now it's straight. Mine never really sits straight, but you get the gist. Now take your bolt, screw your bolt back in, put your clips in so they're out of the way for your wiring. You can go ahead and plug in your heated steering wheel side right away. Set that up, pull that off to the side. And then now take your 19mm, and there is a torque spec that you could look up, but for me, I just tighten it like it's a lug nut on the side of the road after you get a flat. Don't have a torque wrench with you. Just make sure you don't turn your steering wheel too much if you want to keep it straight and so you don't damage anything. There you go. I do recommend having a person hold it still for you, but if you're good enough to use your legs, then use your legs. Now, time to reinstall your airbag. Super simple, super easy, just like you did before. Remember how we marked your grounds? Just put them back in. Take your other wiring harnesses, plug them back in. Make sure you clip the little snap clip there, and then reinstall those torque bits. Okay, so now to wire up your switch, you can place it in many places. You can place it somewhere on here. It does not fit in the tall slot, so just keep that in mind. It's a smaller switch, so you might need to get a taller one, or just keep this and put it in one of these different areas. Or if you have a lower trim or less tech package, you have all these slots to place it in, so you have to wire it up based on these for a different ground. But first, you're going to remove the windshield wiper fuses, or fuse, the 30 amp from up under here. Remove the 30 amp windshield wiper one and add it to the add a fuse, and then you need to do your ground. So this panel just pops off for your ground like that, exposing this bolt. That's a 10mm bolt. The bolts removed, I like to take this whole pack of wiring, stuff it over the top, of your plastic, and now take this. I like to put the ground between the plastic and the main hole, just because it'll give a little bit better connection. Now replace your bolt. It's nice and tight. I'm going to keep that ground nice and strong. And then now take your add a fuse, flip it out of your little piece here if it got fallen behind. Reclip your panel. Now take your add a fuse and plug it back into the 30 amp slot for your windshield wipers. And now your wiring's good to go for your switch. So go back over, reconnect your battery, Make sure you tighten it. Don't forget to. Test the switch. You have to put your car in run or wherever you can use your windshield wipers and press the switch. It'll light up and you're good to go.